clock is ticking. It's after 11 o'clock, and you know what that means. It means it's time for your favorite show and mine, Countdown to Armageddon. I am your host, Publius, and today we are going to talk about the filibuster. What is a filibuster, you say, and why should you care? The filibuster is the idea that if at least 60 people in the Senate want to pass a law, they can. That puts it a little bit above the majority, and what this does is it allows the minority to be able to be heard. It means that in order for the majority to pass certain laws, they have got to work with the minority. Without the filibuster, then most things can pass through Congress with exactly 51 votes, barely above minimum. So, for example, in today's Congress, you have 50 Democrats and you have 50 Republicans. The Senate on a tie is decided by the Vice President, which means Kamala Harris. So therefore, every time the Democrats want to put forward a piece of legislation, no matter how screwed up it is and how horrid it is, they would be able to pass it except for one thing. Right now, the filibuster still exists. The idea is that the minority party can say, nope, we're going to sit there and oppose this, and we're going to keep you from voting on it unless you listen to some of our complaints and adapt the law to being more fair. Now, historically, the filibuster in this country required somebody to stand up and begin speaking. In some cases, they were allowed to pass that within their own party to somebody else that supported their views, and they could block the majority from taking their vote. Therefore, they could effectively kill the bill. Now, starting in the 70s, the talking was allowed to stop, and they became what is known as a silent filibuster. They just weren't going to pass it. This number of people were going to keep you from being able to vote. Now, why is this all coming out? Because the Democrats have put forth several pieces of legislation that are horrid. They are the most biased, destructive pieces of crap come out of Washington in a long time. And the Republicans honestly say, ain't happening. We ain't going to support this. Well, the Democrats, just like they did several years ago, are throwing a tissy fit. The same group of people that stopped Republicans from changing things and fixing things the way they wanted it when the Republicans were the majority are sitting back saying, no, we're not going to let you do this. So they're talking about getting rid of the filibuster. Now, some of them are talking about totally getting rid of it, and some are talking about making it go back to a talking filibuster. Personally, I support the idea of a talking filibuster. I think if you don't have enough to say against it, and you can't sit there and spend your time talking, then shut up. The advantage of the talking filibuster, though, is it stops the Senate. The Senate doesn't do any work while the filibuster is going on. This is one of the power plays that the minority can use to make the majority listen. And sometimes that's good. More often than not, it's very good. I firmly support the idea of the Republicans filibustering House Resolution 1. The idea of changing our election laws to make it to where they can be stolen. I support filibustering quite a few of the gun control legislations that have come out. I support the idea of killing this labor law that's coming out right now, where they're basically getting rid of the right to work, where everybody can be forced into paying a labor union. Now, I don't believe in forced unionization. I believe the unions should be less powerful. I believe unions should be a lot more locally orientated and controlled. These national unions are not always out to support the benefits to the benefit of their own people in a certain area. They tend to look at the bigger picture. And instead of helping those that are actually paying their dues, sometimes they just are there to support a certain political party. And the only way to stop some of these things and to stop the majority from basically enforcing tyranny is the filibuster. There's nothing like it in the House. The majority will win every time in the House. Majority rule is another way of saying mob rule. Every harebrained idea that comes through can be shoved through if you can get enough people to support it. The idea that the majority is something holy and sacrosanct is stupid. Remember, the majority of the world thought the world was flat for a long time. The majority of the population felt slavery was right for a long time. If it's going to take until we can get the majority to listen, to keep them from trampling our rights, we're going to have problems. So, you have a filibuster. This allows the minority to sit there and say, no, you're going to do this a little bit differently so that it's fair. Or you get rid of the filibuster, and every harebrained belief the majority has can be forced on everyone else. Now, obviously, I don't support getting rid of the filibuster. I believe we need it. And yes, I say this, even knowing that how many times the Democrats stop Republicans from putting things through. Well, face it, sometimes they need to be stopped. Sometimes the ideas that these parties have, both the Democrats and the Republicans, are wrong. They just infringe on people's rights. I mean, right now you've got senators sitting there going, but we shouldn't be forced to have to talk. We should be able to do it silently like we have since the 70s. That's not right. Stand up and support your beliefs. Stand up and talk. And allow the minority to be able to have a voice, to force the majority to be heard. Otherwise, we're going to find out real quickly, mob rule sucks. Now, the Democrats have had several people say, several of their members say they're not going to support the idea of getting rid of the filibuster because they remember what it's like to be the minority. And I agree with them. What I don't agree with is people like Al Sharpton who want to turn around and say, well, this is all racist. This is just a supporting of the Jim Crow era viewpoint. Look, keep your racism out of it because, frankly, Al Sharpton says everything's racism. Stop threatening these senators and allow them to vote their conscience and what the people support. We hear a lot of talk about mandate of the people. Well, the vast majority of things that the Democrats are pushing through aren't supported by the people. The majority of people in the United States believe that you should have to show some form of identification to vote. Why? Because we don't want illegals voting. We won't want foreigners coming into this country who are not citizens being able to affect our elections. We don't support the idea of foreign governments being able to affect our elections. So if the majority is opposed to these things, then you ain't got a mandate of the people. Now remember, back during the Obama era, when they passed through cloak and dagger means the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, the majority of Americans did not support this. Democrats then were able to sneak it through by using it, putting it under one of their special clause rules those 4 things called reconciliation bills, and the American people got screwed. Now they want to screw us again. And the only thing that's going to stop them is if the Republicans stay together and unite, and the filibuster can stay where it is. Without it, there's a lot of things they're trying to push that are going to hurt us. And the only thing that's stopping them is that filibuster. Now, there is some hope. There are certain Democrats that have actually been able to look past party and say, no, right is right. The question is, who's going to win? Are they going to be able to be threatened and coerced into changing their views to support their party? Only time's going to tell. And on the same token, only time will tell whether Republicans will actually stand up to the Democrats and keep this insanity from taking place. I don't always have a lot of faith in the Republicans' ability to stand up for what is right. They have too many rhinos in their ranks. Democrats, they don't have many rhinos. They don't have many people that will break the party line and support or oppose something simply because it's right or wrong. Only time is going to tell us what's going to happen. And it's up to you. If you think that the minority should be blocked out and the majority should get whatever they want, then hey, your way probably might come out. But if you disagree with this, call your senators. Tell them, no, don't cave, don't lose the filibuster. Allow the minority to have a say. That's, these people are supposedly working for you. Are they? Only way to find out is if enough people oppose it. Maybe then they'll listen. I say maybe because, like, the majority of the people were against Obamacare, but they shoved it down our throat. So, that is an explanation of the filibuster and why it matters. Take some time. Think about it. Is it better to have the majority forced to listen and give some respect to the minority? Or do you think they should be able to pound away, pushing whatever they want, and no one should be able to stop them unless they're the majority? All I know is that'll be a whole lot of tit for tat. And this has been Publius on your countdown to Armageddon. Hope you enjoyed today's show. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section. I'll try to get back to them. If you want to support this show, all you got to do is go up to the top of this platform, find out about supporting, send whatever you want. Trust me, folks, even $1 helps. Other than that, you guys have a great week. If you like this show, hit the like button. Please subscribe. That subscription is one of the easiest ways you can help support this channel. And I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week. Thank you.